out there, and the fact that he could even pay the winning bonuses of others, buy boots for some of the players, tells you that he was not just a leader, but he showed concern and he offered some social support. I think he's still doing it. So we must celebrate him. He has done well.
I think
for a moment we should forget about the negative. Let's elogize him.
Yes. But I even think about even the penalty, and as we discussed with Kelvin before he left the studios, that even though we referenced that quite a bit, it just brought my mind back to the fact that after missing the penalty, he actually decided to step forward and take a penalty kick as the first player. I think it's a lesson in grit, determination, and courage. So whilst we remember that part, we also recall that even after that, he found the guts to try again and get up again. And that's something I think he should always be commended for.
Yes.
We think about our own lives and the types of failures we encounter, and they prevent us from even wanting to put ourselves out there. And so I think it's something worth celebrating for sure.
Sure. But my advice to him is that he should forget about the pain, how the captaincy was taken away from him, so that we can immortalize him. Because if he dwells so much on that incident, he may go down not too good. He should just forget it and move on. And we should find a very good monument and named it after him.
I think that's a great idea. Gentlemen, what do we think? William, what should we name after him, Impo? A new stadium or something like that?
That one, the authorities will decide. But I mean, I agree with Prof when he says that we should immortalize Asamoah Gyan. Whatever we do as a nation to keep his name, I mean, the discussions for life, I think we should do it. I mean, he has done it. Boxing, music, what else? I mean, some of them you just mentioned football and it's ended. By him, you mentioned his name and he's all over the place.
Yeah.
That tells you the kind of versatile individual he is. So it's quite in order if we put some statue somewhere for him. I mean, maybe
I think that's in order.
Some house in something.
I think at the Accra Sports Stadium we don't do too well with statues. I think it's the main 9 statue that we have. I mean, we could have one. For Asamoah
But you see,
Gyan.
what is wrong with naming Accra Sports Stadium after Asamoah Gyan?
So Asamoah Gyan Sports Stadium.
Yes, what is wrong with that? He is our best goal scorer. The gentleman has paid his dues. What will be wrong with it?
That's a discussion for the whole nation. Discussion for the nation. It's a big one.
Okay.
So
well, we know the Accra Sports Stadium is already named after.
It didn't work. So it's free.
That's what I'm saying. It's a big issue because there are a lot of stakes in there. So Ohinijan, the name came up, and I don't know whether it was from the traditional rulers or whatever it is. So it came back to Accra Sports Stadium. So such national monuments after Asamoah Gyan will take a lot of discussion and consideration.
Let's start it here.
Okay, well, we've started this morning right here on 3FM Sunrise. You heard it here first. We're spearheading that conversation. But Prof, back to you. And again, thank you so much for gracing our studios and a little bit still sticking with Asamoah Gyan. As somebody that imparts knowledge onto younger people and also coaching and inspiring, what lessons do you think young ones can pick from the life and career of Asamoah Gyan and to look at their own lives with?
Yes, that is one thing Africans we don't do. Somebody like Asamoah Gyan, we should have our coaches studying the way he plays and document his style and pass it on to the younger generation. We don't. And so I am thinking that the way he scores goals, the way he plays, his style, his tactics should be studied by our coaches. The technical section of GFE should go back in time, watch every game of Asamoah Gyan and document his style, because we are unable to score goals now.
That is true.
We are unable. Look at a whole Ghana and Madagascar. We don't have a striker. It's like we are missing the gentleman.
Will there be another?
There is no way no two persons are the same.
That's right.
But at least we can train the younger generation to play like Asamoah Gyan. It's possible.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody that gave us a call, a mention, a tweet on this, or throughout the week. Of course, we can still remember Asamoah Gyan. But let's get into our interview of the moment and also celebrate another fine gentleman who's right here in the studio with us. Again, it's Professor Bernard Kumi-Boateng. And as I've already mentioned, he is the Dean of Planning and Quality Assurance and a member of the University Appointments and Promotions Committee at the University of Mines and Technology, Takwa. He also holds a BSc degree in geomatic engineering from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi. He has a double Master of Science degree, MSc in Geoinformation Science and Earth Observation from the International Institute for Geoinformation Science and Earth Observation in the Netherlands, and an MSc in Environmental Systems and Analysis from KNUST. Now, in a record time of 2 years, he successfully completed his PhD studies at the University of Mines and Technology and obtained a PhD degree in geomatic engineering. He recently graduated from the Pentecost University with a certificate in theology and pastoral studies. Professor Kumi-Boateng is the first at the University of Mines and Technology trained professor and a highly gifted and inspirational youth coach, speaker, lay counselor, mentor, and academic who has touched and encouraged many young people with impeccable integrity. What a bio.
Thank you.
What a bio. What a bio. And when we talk about the journey, and it's not it hasn't been a smooth journey. I was reading the profile, very impressed from the beginnings. You talk about working as a toilet attendant in the past, moving fast forward to all of these accolades. Some of the words I couldn't even pronounce. I didn't even know it was possible to get a PhD in a I can't even pronounce all of this. It must be very exciting then to hear yourself being introduced with all of these accolades. How does that make you feel to have such an achievement at such an age?
Well, it's humbling, especially knowing where I started in Bantama, where there was no hope. And so when I hear these things being said about me, the truth is that when I was in Bantama, I didn't know I would ever get to this. And there was nothing like a dream, because we're all the same.
Right.
And my mom being a diabetic with blindness, bedridden, had mild stroke. My father had also left us in search of greener pastures. And so today when I sit back, it's quite humbling. It's quite humbling.
Well, tell us about some of the early beginnings where you started school, and you say at that time there was nothing like having a dream. No. You weren't even thinking about being a PH holder, geo this, geo that, dean, PhD, too. So, I mean, that wasn't even in contemplation. At that time, as a young boy growing up in Bantama, what were some of your interests, and what was your early childhood like, especially as concerns education?
You see, we were all the same in Bantama, as I said earlier on. And we were living in a compound house. We call it "you face me, I face you." So almost everyone in the house is the same. And then you had people staying in the nurses' quarters. So those of us who were in the mainstream Bantama, we don't end up doing any white-collar job. So it's either you are going to the Swami Mazi, you are going to sell some second-hand shoes, you are doing some menial jobs. All you wanted to get is to survive. And so I didn't even know that you could go to school and do certain things. Mine was to finish the JSS and then start working. Either I'm going to Swami, or even though the Kompanoche was just some 5 blocks away from my house. But even the elders will tell you that Bantama, we don't work at that place.
Yes. You said you face me, I face you. Gentlemen, you know about you face me, I face you.
If you go. Lived there before.
Okay.
It's a compound house, you see. Yes. And then you have, yes.
Is it what AKA Kumasifie?
Kumasifie, yes.
Kumasifie, okay.
You see, we were 6 in a single room. This place is bigger than that room where we are, the studio here. And we were 6 packed in there. And it was normal. You see, it wasn't like you see another neighbor where they are less.
Got it.
So
everybody was 6.
6 or more.
And if we're not like one of you wet the bed, you don't know who
Yes.
take responsibility.
You see, so we're 6 or more. And so it was fun. I didn't see at the time that I was suffering. Okay. But when we realized that my mom could no longer take care of us, that is how come I ended up on the toilet business, dishing out. If you give me any of these dailies here now, graphic. Yes, with ease. And you know, when the political parties changes over and the food soldiers are fighting over the toilet, and people are asking themselves, what is in it? You don't know. You don't know. The money you can get out of it, especially the rush hour times.
Right.
That is in the morning and evening.
So at that time of your life still, about what age would you say you were when
9.
you were
9
9 years
yes.
old, working?
I was even overgrown. You know,
Okay.
on the streets of Bantama is a survival street. So 9 years, I'm even overgrown.
I see.
Yes.
Wow.
And the difference is that today my daughter cannot even go and buy wachi. She's 14. She wouldn't know how to do it because she's always in the car. You go, you buy.
Very sheltered.
Yes.
I see.
But those days,
It was rough.
oh yes, yes. I ended up even selling second-hand shoes at PZ, all under 15.
All under. And at that time, give us a picture, education-wise. Were you performing well in school? What were your main interests?
Look, I always say that it's just by grace, because nobody will tell you to study. You come back from school, you dump the bag somewhere, off to look for money.
Yeah.
So I won't say I was very smart, you know. I wasn't first in my class because my JSS mates probably are listening. And so it's just by God's grace.
Which school is that?
I started JSS in Bantama, St. Anthony. It's just adjacent the Bantama market.
Got it.
And so 1993 I finished. And then I had to look for my dad in Tamale. Unfortunately, when I got to Tamale, the Konkomba War had started. And so I couldn't go to school. My father too was a lotto agent. And so he couldn't take me to school. So I had to stay home. And by the time the war was a bit down, I couldn't go back to the secondary school with my 1993 BEC. So I had to start JSS again in Zogbele Block A.
Where?
Zogbele Block A in Tamale. To start another JSS there. It was quite tough for me because I had spoken Twi with pride on the streets of Bantama all my life, and you get to Tamale and everyone is speaking English. I could not construct a single sentence without interspersing it with Twi, and they were laughing. So my father, he had been to Achimota, but life did not treat him well. So he said, I'm going to help you. So Monday and Friday, I had no choice but to read Voice from Afar by KB Asante, and then a letter to Jomo by George Sidney Apogri every Monday and Friday. Even if I am in school, my father will buy the dailies, put them down. When I come back, I must read and we do discussion. And Sidney had a way of writing, very funny, so I was enjoying it. KB Asante was, he had a certain style of also writing, very difficult, but my father will insist that you read KB Asante. Because actually, KB Asante taught him in Achimota.
I see.
So my father went to Achimota, so...
And a liking for him.
Yes.
You mentioned these names, and I'm wondering how old you are, because I worked with Sidney in the newsroom, and when he was writing, you were there reading.
Yes.
And I was around when KB Asante was writing.
Writing, yes. I was reading
and
that.
Then you must be very young.
Yes.
Oh,
wow.
I'm William, is it the reverse that you must be very...
I didn't read that.
Because, I mean, Sidney was the teacher said it. I worked with him.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, you were now reading Sidney when you were young.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Maybe that means on the reverse you were old.
Sydney made a lot of impact. Sydney and KB Asante.
Yeah. In fact, he won Journalist of the Year.
Oh, okay.
Through his features.
I didn't know that. Yes.
Well, Prof, then can we ask, how old are you?
I'm 45.
Oh, wow.
Young.
I'm
45. But
Young.
you achieved all these.
Young indeed.
I just turned 45, 15th June.
wow.
Belated birthday to you.
Wow.
Very, very
Yeah,
young.
I told you.
So, is that true then that you are the youngest professor? Clarify that for us at the university.
Yes, in UMAT.
In
yes,
UMAT, you are
yes.
the youngest.
I don't know of the other universities. I don't know what is happening there. But
Okay.
as far as UMAT is concerned,
You're the youngest.
I am the
You're the
youngest.
youngest.
But very soon now, some young ones, very talented, are coming
coming.
up.
Yes,
Who
because
are
I see the Grey is also wanting to overtake
Yes.
the beard. So very soon you'll be passing on that
passing on.
mantle. So we talk about the secondary school where you were, at that point deciding to, or your father was really encouraging you with the reading and you were getting better at that. Is that at that point where it sparked something within you as far as education was concerned? What was the turning point?
The turning point was in secondary school because I had then now finished the JSS in Tamale. And when I got to Tamale secondary school, that was where the turning point started. Because at that time, then now I knew what education could do for me. And I didn't want to go back to Bantama in that state again. Now I became aware that I was suffering. Because now I've moved into a new territory. I am reading the dailies. I am becoming aware of my environment. Then I took advantage of a certain lifestyle we picked up in Bantama. We don't give up. Because we know already we are down there.
Got it.
So from that day onwards, I said, look, I was going to study. I was not going to go back to Bantama in that same state. Even though life was very difficult because my father was not working. He had to become a banker-to-banker lotto agent. At the point, Rawlins's time, they wanted to cancel banker-to-banker. And as a young Christian, I had to go to the bush to pray against it because strangely enough, anytime I'm going to pay school fees, my father will win lotto.
For Lotto, the issue was tight.
You see, at the time, I didn't have any support system. I didn't have any support system. It was only my dad. Nobody was supporting me. So, and that is what he was doing. And therefore, if you ban banker to banker, that I won't stake lotto at this stage now because of my Christian tenants.
Right.
But I am saying that at that youthful age, right, there was nothing I could do than to go to God and say, God, don't let this thing happen. Let us win. And strangely enough, even to the university, nobody helped me. I never got scholarship. It was the lotto business that took care of me. And because of that, there were certain things I couldn't get to school. For example, in secondary school, I never went to secondary school with Shito.
Never.
I will go to secondary school Tamasco a day before reopening because I cannot afford a drop-in to the secondary school. So I go with the normal vehicle, drop off and walk like about 30 minutes to the school. So I carry my chop box and one my yeye bag. That's what my father had. So I carry it in the night and walk through the bush to Tamasco. So my mates will come and meet me in the school. And when we vacate also, I'll be the last to leave. And it will still be under the cover of the night.
Why was that?
I didn't have money and I had grown, I had become aware of my surroundings. I was a poor man with dignity. I didn't want my mates to know that I was carrying my chop box. So I'll have to go in the night.
Okay.
So I have to wait.
Yeah.
I should go when nobody is in the house.
And they won't know what mode of transport you used to exit school.
So dining hall, I never missed dining hall. I couldn't.
You couldn't afford to miss it.
No. And I was very fortunate to be on a table with 6 girls who didn't like the dining hall food. So they were only interested in jollof on Thursdays. You see, I still remember the dining hall timetable.
Because you didn't miss it.
Not at all. They were only interested in jollof on Thursdays, cake and fish on Tuesdays. So when the rest of the days they will show up, and the 4 boys on the table, we would do justice to that. So it was only Gary, and we used to have something we called dinat. These powdered milk. These were the only 2 items that my father could afford, because after paying my school fees, he will give me transportation in and transportation out.
Okay. Very humble beginnings, indeed. So now let's fast forward. We've gotten a bit of insight into how you grew up from a very early age, the struggles in Bantama, getting to Tamasco, making sure you never miss a meal at the dining hall, to what you are doing now. And I introduced you twice this morning for the third time. Professor Bernard Kumi-Boateng is the Dean of Planning and Quality Assurance and a member of the University Appointments and Promotions Committee at the University of Mines and Technology, TAQUA. For the uninitiated, tell us a bit about your job. What do you do now? What does it entail?
All right. I make maps. I am a surveyor. So all about this geomatic is survey. So I am a licensed surveyor. I also do a bit of community resettlement action plans. For example, there is a project ongoing, and the project is impacting on people, and you need to move them away from where they are and resettle them. So purely that is the kind of work that I do.
Okay, and how does one specialize in that? What is the pathway to getting there?
In Ghana, you must do science.
Okay.
But now UMAT, together with the Ministry of Education, is having a program called pre-engineering, where art students, visual arts, home economics, you will come in 1 year, take some science-based courses, and then after a year, if you pass, we enroll you to the engineering program. So there is a pathway for our friends who are not science students.
And what would you say in your line of work, doing what you do, how has that, would you say, open your eyes or mind to what is going on in Ghana as far as our environment is concerned, planning in that field? Are we where we need to be?
No.
Why
especially
is
in the land space. A lot of Ghanaians are engaging the services of quack surveyors. And so it is creating a lot of problems in the land space. Ghana has the best brains when it comes to surveying. And sure, and we can solve all the problems, but if only we'll be given the opportunity to solve them. Let me give you a typical example.
Sure.
How long do you think it takes you to register your land?
Gentlemen?
Has anyone tried it?
Forever.
The frustrations you go through.
It takes forever.
But Lands Commission is trying to automate the system. And once we allow the automation to work out, then we will remove most of these bottlenecks. But you see, there are some civil servants also who will not allow
That's right.
that to work, because once they allow that, you've removed the human intervention. You are no longer going to pay some bribes to them. So they will make sure that system doesn't work. But for now, they are doing well. They are doing their best. And the support system also within our environment. There is a new Land Act, Act 1036, that has come up to try to solve some of the problems dealing with land guards. You can go to prison for about 15 years now. If a chief sells the land double, the chief can. And now the laws are also saying the chief must give account. They are fiduciary owners. They must give account to the people. I know some time ago Asantehene resisted those clauses, that he doesn't give account to anyone. But they must give account because they are holding the land in trust for the people. And Ghanaians must know that you don't buy land, you buy interest. You see, you are buying an interest. So at a point in time, in Ghana, we don't have freehold.
Okay.
We don't have freehold. Nobody can buy land forever outright. No.
The same way you cannot will certain things to forever. It's not possible. Well, let me say it's possible.
Deciding to head to his dangerous waters.
Your inaugural lecture was on mapping the poor in Ghana, a geospatial multidimensional poverty index approach. Could you just give us an insight into what that meant, mapping out the poor?
Yes. I decided to map the poor for my inaugural lecture because of my own background. And most people think that income levels determines who a poor person is. But we decided that, let's look at other dimensions. Let's look at education. Let's look at living standards. Let's look at the health. So, for example, living standards. If you are more than 3 in a room, you're overcrowded.
What does the mapping mean?
The mapping here means that instead of going for the text giving figures. I wanted to map the real people on the ground.
Okay.
And then create a map of where poor people are. Okay. And the amazing thing is that when we finish, apart from Greater Accra and Ashanti region, the rest of the country,
the whole Ghana is poor.
Yes.
Poor. So what are some of the metrics that you use? Talk about if you are more than 3 in a room, that's a signal. What are some of the other metrics that you measure?
In terms of your floor, the room you are living in, what is it made up of?
Okay.
The floor.
The floor, yes. What is it made up of?
If it's tiled.
If it is tiled, some people have
linoleum.
Some people have dung. Some people have how do we call this? Chuma, sort of.
Yes.
And then we also looked at education.
Okay.
Child going to school age at the age 5. You go to the household, you want to find out how many of the children are at that age going to school, probably have completed from kindergarten to the primary 6. You're also looking at that. You are looking at child mortality when they give birth to children, whether they are able to survive. You are also looking at the mothers. Are they surviving or they are dying? These are all part of the sustainable development goals. So we pick these factors from there and we relate that to the ground. You see, each household is on the surface of the earth.
Correct.
So I link that to the surface of the earth and then create the map to make to help policymakers to say that, look, for example, one thing that came out, even though Greater Accra and Ashanti region are a bit okay, but when you look at it from drinking water, because we also, one of the factors we looked at was also drinking water.
Right.
And then overcrowding. So if you are not careful, you may think that Greater Accra is rich. But if you begin isolating them, when you are targeting any poverty alleviation, then you must target Greater Accra for drinking water and overcrowding. So build more rooms, make it affordable to the people. Because if you are not careful, you think that, Greater Accra and Ashanti region, they are okay. Let me concentrate in the north or the central region.
Right.
No. Isolate the individual indicators and dimensions so that you can identify the multi-dimensional poor person. And not just income. Don't just look at money and decide who a poor person is. No. Because if for example, we were 6 in a room.
Right.
And the standard says you shouldn't be more than 3. So if you are 3 and above, you are poor.
You're poor. And in fact, we got the stats last year on what percentage of the population is multi-dimensionally poor. Man, help me. Was that 80%?
Yes.
80%.
Yes. The whole country is poor.
Apart from Accra and
multi-dimensionally.
In Kumasi, there are elements within the multi-dimension where we're poor. So potable water, access to roads. Even in Accra, here, the people who sleep.
Don't go far. Just go to Osu. Enter into the neighborhood. They are multi-dimensionally poor. Access to water early morning when you are driving through Osu. You see people carrying buckets to fetch water.
That's right.
So we have a problem on our hands.
And we can't use the illusion of, for example, Oxford Street to determine whether or not the people here are poor. Now, because we mentioned water and drinking water, quality of water, potable water, what do you make of our Galamsey issue that we are battling? We're told day in, day out that government is taking measures to ensure that the Galamsey menace is reduced and ultimately eradicated. Are you really seeing a true commitment to the fight against Galamsey?
We are going to put the academic in trouble today, this morning. Look, if we want to solve small-scale mining problem, we can. We know where they are. My problem is that we should stop dividing them. Mining is mining. I'm not an expert in mining.
Okay.
But at least the things I have seen around teaching within that enclave, I don't understand why we should have different laws for small-scale mining and have another set of laws for the large scale. Because when you go to the large scale sites, you don't see the problems. I wish the media will visit some of these large scales and see rivers that are within their concession, how neat those streams are. So ask yourself, why is that happening there? But when it comes to the small scale, the streams alongside are polluted. It is because with the large scale, the mine inspectorate is going there. Minerals Commission is always on them, inspecting them, checking up, assessing the impact of the mining activities on the community, and making sure the regulations work. Why can't we do same for the small scale and say, look, you are all the same, because you are all mining gold. The next is that politicians should take themselves out of the equation. This is not a politician's job. It is the job of the mining engineers. And UMAT has trained a lot of people who can solve that problem. They should stop this business that they don't know is difficult to solve. We know where they are. I have done some works. We mapped all artisanal small scale sites using satellite images. We know, they know.
So you're able to determine just through the satellite.
There is technology available to determine, even if you are mapping, even if you are working in a forest. We all went to school, we did probability. There is something called conditional probability.
Right.
Probability of A given B. What is the probability that there is forest but small scale mining is taking place? These geospatial technologies are available to solve that problem. So we know we can solve it. If they want to find them, they can find them.
But how do we deal with the illegal mining, which is the galamsey? Because the small scale fine, the large scale. But this for me, we are talking about the illegal mining.
Who are they? Do you know them?
Well,
do you know them? Do you know the illegal people?
I don't know any. I don't know any.
You see, we keep saying illegal. I want to find out who are these illegal people.
Those who don't have any license at all to.
Yes, that's the definition. But where are they? Who are they? Are you sure they don't have license?
But that's what we are made to understand, that they are mining in
have
areas.
They given you anyone?
But they arrest them all the time.
Who? Oh.
The police and the soldiers go out there to pick them up.
No, they pick them up because they are along the streams. Because even if you are a legal entity, you are not supposed to be in the stream. But I am saying that all these people will get their plans. The plans will go through Minerals Commission. And because I'm a surveyor, I deal with such plans also.
Right.
They will tell you that you cannot mine close to streams.
Yeah.
So when you go to Minerals Commission, they are doing that. But the problem is that the enforcement down there is where the challenge is. Our chiefs are involved, so we must bring them on board. Because you see, what you get, the rights you get is the surface right. The surface right belongs to the chief. Even if you have a license from Accra, you must go back to the chief to get into the belly of the earth.
Right.
Because the land surface belongs to someone. So the chiefs cannot take themselves out of the equation. They know. Look, if the government wants to solve this, it's just one notice to chief executive officers. Tell them that if there is any stream in your backyard that is polluted, you are out.
You're
fired. Because the committee that will see to this, they are involved. We can solve it.
Well, Prof, do you think we are underestimating the impact of galamsey on our environment? We show pictures of the streams. We talk about, mercury being found in some of our crops. We talk about, children being born with deformities. Is it really sinking in? Do you think the average Ghanaian can appreciate really what is happening to our environment and its long-term effects?
Yes, the Ghanaian appreciates that. But the challenge we have is that these are the people who are funding our political parties. If you check the last election, NPP lost the mining areas because of the small scale. So they don't have the willpower to do that. For us as citizens, we see the impact. We walk along the streams. We see in the forest areas. You move to Wasekropon. If you know Wasekropon.
Yeah, I did my service at Dumping.
Okay, so Dumping Peppers are wonderful. That's Duke's hometown. You see, if you walk along, and these Chinese are all over the place. Look, if you go to Wasekropon, the Chinese, they are just there. But I am saying that the politicians should stop taking money from such people. If they don't stop, we can't solve this problem.
But party Hieska, Prof.
I agree with you, but you see,
but that's what they say.
It is true. But I am saying that do you want the money at the expense of the land?
That's the question we have to put to them.
Yeah.
Is it worth destroying everything that we have?
That's what they are doing.
Ultimately,
That's
the
what they are
water, the land, the vegetation, the crops, and the impact is far-reaching. Where you have, at some point, even our cocoa being threatened because the output is not great. It's not pure.
No, but will you keep a cocoa plant, right? When you can get more gold. The cocoa plant in the mining areas, they pay one plant 74 Ghana cedis, and an acre is about 32,000 Ghana cedis. Now, if there is gold there, they will sell.
Yes. And they're already selling. And
they are.
Yes.
They are. We put the spotlight on that, I believe it was on Monday, and the sheer number of cocoa farmers who say it's no longer worth it for me to carry on this path. I'll sell the land.
Yes, because if you don't do that, they've gone for the license already. So what they will do is that they will go underneath you.
Yeah.
And create unnecessary problems for you. So you cannot continue to stay in the farm.
And that's something that came up. Your farmlands will become flooded.
Yes.
You have all types of impurities now under the land. You have no choice but to sell off that land.
The chief executive officers, they know. I am saying that any area where you have that problem, let's punish the chief executive officers. I am telling you, it will solve the problem. They know. But again, because they are benefiting from them. You see, as soon as the government changes over, NDC too will confiscate the other, these community mining issues that are also coming. You wait and see. The moment power changes,
you see a shift.
Prof, you've done a lot of extension services works and as a surveyor and where you operate from Takwa. When you go to the mining areas, you see that where the mines are and where the individuals who work in the mines they live is so markedly different from the rest of the community. What is accounting for this mass poverty in the mining areas?
That kind of a problem, you see, I don't want us to blame the mining companies. They are doing business. They pay their royalties. It is up to the state to use the royalties to develop the mining community. Again, the chiefs are also getting their share, but they don't use it to develop the community. And most typical mining areas, you have almost 70% of the workers coming from outside.
Expats?
Not necessarily.
Outside of the
Community.
Okay.
So, for example, UMAT, we are training these young men and women. About 70% of the products will stay in Takwa and the other mining communities. And once they get money, most of them are moving the money to where they come from.
Okay.
And so they rather move to develop where they are coming from. And so that is where we have these problems. I also sometimes don't want to blame the government because you see, the gold there is in trust. And so government takes the gold from Takwa. Government needs that money to develop the whole of the country.
But imagine the development starts from Takwa, from dumping, from Pristia.
You are right. When you say development, what are you referring to?
I mean, the roads? All the indications that you give.
Yes.
You know, housing, water, electricity.
You're right.
Because I lived in Dumpim and the poverty there.
Oh yes.
You know, and the number of people who sleep in their rooms.
Yes, and it's quite an expensive.
Exactly.
Mining areas are quite
you know,
expensive. But you see, these days some mining companies are doing. There's something they call the social license.
Okay.
Right now, Anglo Gold has done the best resettlement for three communities.
Were you a part of that process?
Yes.
Okay.
I was part of that process. We did the resettlement action plan. And when you see the new structure, I wish one day if TV3 or Onia will go there.
3FM will go there. 92.7.
That will be great. Look, when you see the state of that particular structure and now what they have put up for them, the design is the same design as the mining workers where they are living.
Yeah, because I saw it. That's why I'm asking the question.
So that's a good example.
Yes, Anglo Gold, Ashanti, they have taken developing the community to a new level. And I think that we should applaud them. It's not, previously resettlement communities will be some small apartments. No. This one is solid. The plan is good. They are going to give each household your plan, and then your document and register the land also in your name.
I think that's a step.
Yes, you see, resettlement, there are two options. Either you take your money, or you say they should build for you.
Okay.
Some took their money, those who are not coming from Takwa per se, some took their money, but about 122 households. They built for them. Yes.
I think we've gotten some very interesting perspective from Prof. But before we wrap up on this conversation, I see your brooch there, or what do we call this?
Jesus Saves.
Jesus Saves. And from the profile that I read this morning, we also know that you recently graduated from the Pentecost University with a certificate in theology and pastoral studies. I know you mentioned that you were praying for, banker to banker back in the day. Fast forward now, what is it that you are praying for?
Well, I'm praying that we'll have a country that is peaceful, where people who do not have the kind of opportunity I had will be given the opportunity. And I'm a member of the Church of Pentecost. Our aim this year is to possess the nations and transform.
Possess the nations and transform.
Yes.
Okay.
So once you are a member of Pentecost, you are an agent of transformation. So wherever you are, make sure you are not corrupt. You don't do things that will bring the nation down. And that is what we are being trained to imbibe into our own spirit. So for now, I'm involved in some youth work. I coach a lot of young people who are struggling, especially in my catchment area in Takwa.
Okay.
Because I think that if we can support the younger ones. Look, today, most young people are sniffing spagulu.
That is true. In fact, the feature comes out tonight.
Oh, okay.
Tonight, 9 p.m.
So
Gordon Asedeba.
Normally, when I say it, people think that I am making it up.
No.
That's a feature that
Good.
Feature coming out.
I am happy you are doing it. They are sniffing super glue.
In fact, we mentioned it on the news yesterday here.
Good.
It's coming up today.
Some time ago in Upper East, pad.
Yes.
Menstrual pad.
They soak it.
They soak it.
And drink.
And then, because you see, they say that the tramadol is quite expensive now. And most of these young people, they don't, you see, our social support system is weak.
That's right.
If we have one even.
It's gone.
I doubt we have one.
Well, so me, I call on the churches. Churches must come in because we are a social organization as much as we are a spiritual organization. We must come in to support the government. Because the government alone, the problems are overwhelming the state.
This is true. Talking about supporting the government, and just before we go again, it's 12 minutes past the hour of 9. You're still live here on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're wrapping up our conversation with Professor Bernard Kumi-Boateng, talking about helping the state, give some transformations and whatnot. Will you be helping the state transform what we now know is the National Cathedral from what it is now to its final destination as envisioned by our president? Is that something that's on your radar?
As a Christian, I support the National Cathedral, except that they should do it well. The controversy surrounding the funding, today, state is not funding it. Why can't they just now come clean and say, look, we thought we could solicit for funds to do it. We cannot. And therefore, the state will fund it and take it through Parliament. Because if you don't do it that way, when you look at Okudzetu's arguments, when you remove sentiment and you listen to the facts he's putting on the table, it makes it difficult as a Christian to defend
the project.
But as a Christian, I want the cathedral. I want it. It's good. Spiritually, it will help the nation. But the manner with which today we are not funding, the next day is making it very difficult for us to then now apply our brains, take the emotions out, the spiritual things out, and defend it.
Absolutely. Well, we all know how I feel about that, but I wanted to also get Prof's bite on that. And
yes,
we
Prof,
do have to.
Auntie Harriet works at the Commission on Culture.
Yes.
How is our culture affecting the way we even live as a people? Look at the way we are building all over the place. Do you think that we should have structured buildings like they have in the West? So if you go to London, you don't have the right to build what you want to build. The system should build for you to buy or rent, so that we have some sanity and some niceness in the system.
You see, we have laws. How the structures we should have, the dimensions, they are all regulations.
Okay, so you can't build the house the way
No,
you want.
no. We have the laws in the nation. We have them, but you see, it's the enforcement.
I didn't know this.
The units that are supposed to enforce these standards that we have. I did some work for a mining company. They were relocating a cemetery very quick. When I was doing that work, then I got to know that we have Mortuaries and Funerals Act.
Yes.
Okay, so now I think they appointed a chief executive. I didn't even know that we had something like that. So the laws exist. Even when you have a cemetery in an urban area, you are supposed to have a wall and not a fence. The water table, you need to check. Yes, you cannot set up a cemetery at a place where the water table is very up and you don't have clay, because it could seep into the underground water. So you need to bring EPA in to check all these. We have them. Our problem is the enforcement. The politicians should stop appointing politicians as heads of these institutions. EPA now is headed by a politician. It's wrong.
Yeah. And this is something I think we can definitely table and talk about some more.
It is wrong.
Yes.
Why should these? Yes, I know him. He's from Bantama. I know him very well.
We have to have Prof come back and then talk more about these issues. But Prof, today is World Music Day. To see you out, what song would you like to request from our very able DJ Abiam?
This one.
See what the Lord has done.
And then you give us some Pentecost dance before you.
that song you can't
see
dance.
What the Lord. Who song is that? Nathaniel Bassi. But let's say a very big thank you again to Professor Bernard Kumi-Boateng, Dean of Planning and Quality Assurance and a member of the University Appointments and Promotions Committee at the University of Mines and Technology in Takwa, Ghana. It's been a pleasure learning about your journey and also your thoughts on many different issues. We have thoroughly enjoyed having you here this morning. We're seeing you out with this one, which is See What the Lord has done.
You act and look like a soldier.
Yeah, it's because of where I'm coming from. You have to survive.
Have you been told?
No, but you have to survive.
But you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because the way you...
Straight to the point, discipline.
Because I'm coming from there.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you.
So much. Thank you.
See what the Lord has done.
3FM Sunrise.
Sunrise on 3FM.
What we were